Hello, welcome to game two of Koehni versus Chatteteo. Koehni is up 1-0, which means my banner is backwards.
All right, so looking at this kingdom, doesn't look like we have any allies, so no, none of the new. I guess there's specialists. Specialists are kind of interesting the way it can control piles as well as being a kind of village. It can definitely be pretty powerful.
Yeah, Specialist
Uh,
seems really strong on Herald, Mining Village, Counterfeit even. You can play
yeah,
Counterfeit.
so I definitely think specialist is going to be played. I mean, counterfeit to counterfeit. Being able to like play a counterfeit twice and just immediately thin coppers could be really nice.
Or Distant Lands to put the Distant Lands into play and gain another one every time is a nice
That
pattern.
is also true.
Um,
So let's see what they. It looks like Chatteteo went for an immediate Den of Sin
I don't
on
really
turn
understand what
one.
that is doing. I would
Yeah,
have
I
just
feel
gotten a
like I'd
Counterfeit.
much rather have a counterfeit to be able to thin. Like, what does the Den of Sin really help you with at the beginning of the game?
All the cards I want cost 5. Um,
I mean, the downside is that you do get nothing on your second turn, but I still think it's well worth that trade off.
Yeah, and it looks like Cooney is going for Herald stack. It's my guess.
We went Storeroom on the initial
Mining
three,
Village.
which
I think I'm okay with Storeroom and Herald stack, especially with Way of the Owl. Um, Way of the Owl Storeroom is quite nice, right? You can Storeroom down to one card and then play Way of the Owl to draw back up,
yeah, it makes sense.
if
I
that's
didn't
what
even
they're
see
looking
where the
at.
owl.
Or you could like play Specialist Storeroom, discard down to 0, draw back up, or yeah, draw back up to 6, which is pretty cool.
I don't know if Apprentice really is great here.
I certainly want the Counterfeit first, but the kind of deck I want to build, I'm pretty happy to like. I just want to see my Counterfeit a bunch of times and get really thin. And now that I've noticed this Way of the Owl Storeroom thing, I basically want to get rid of. I want to get as much action density as possible so I can get plus actions and do all that kind of fun stuff.
Yep.
Um, Certainly, Chatteteo's had the early advantage in draws here. Um, the Scavenger on second turn is quite interesting. I guess it lets you cycle around to see your fives faster, but um, and instead they just played it as owl because they knew they had no terminals. Oh, they do have an apprentice though. That seemed greedy. I would have just played the scavenger, top decked the counterfeit,
Yeah, I mean they did end up hitting five.
and they drew into the
So
counterfeit and not the
here,
apprentice. If
yeah,
they
I think I like specialist here. I think you're at the right stage for being able to
if they
duplicate cards.
drew
It's gonna be really nice.
copper apprentice, I think it's almost game losing if they play that scavenger's way of the owl. So like they could draw two coppers, they could high roll and draw copper counterfeit, they could low roll and draw copper apprentice, and then I feel like they just are losing.
I don't know if I like Dennis in here. I mean, I think I like your take of storeroom and way of the owl as draw instead of trying to do anything with Den of Sin because like Den of Sin kind of anti-synergizes with any way the owl. I mean, I guess it gives you more cards to storeroom, but it just doesn't seem worth it to me. Like I think all the other fives are pretty much better in this game than Den of Sin.
Yeah, I think maybe once you have an apprentice and a counterfeit, I want a specialist, and then I want distant lands. Yeah, I don't know that there's time for Dens of Sin here. If you're playing this,
What is what does Coney take here? I mean, he doesn't have, I guess, specialist, or he's going Herald storeroom. That seems actually very reasonable as well.
yeah, we can do the
Probably
thing
better
here
actually.
with well, we need more actions. You really need like either a specialist in hand or 3 actions to make the full thing work. Um, Although I guess they've drawn all their actions at the top of the shuffle, so maybe it doesn't matter.
So yeah, it seems like a pretty good draw here for Coney this turn.
Yeah, what are they're
Tails just
specializing
not
counterfeit.
playing the scavenger.
Yeah, well, you can play a treasure now.
Oh, got it.
That's a very nice interaction.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
Chatteteo
now you can still
seems
scavenger.
completely won here at this point. even without having. They can just add the storms now, or whatever they want to add now. They can add.
Yeah, his deck is just so much thinner.
Um,
I mean, they got 10 here, so like you can just go like specialist
Herald
distant
overpay
lands maybe. Yeah, specialist Herald overpay makes sense. Den of Sin, I don't think you need the. I mean, I don't think you really need. I guess having 2 Den of Sins at different turns isn't terrible. I think I prefer the specialist, but it's not like losing or anything. I don't think.
Yeah, I mean they're far enough ahead that they can afford it, but it seems my reaction would be to take
so
2
now you
action
store
cards.
3 coppers. Oh yeah, you need 3 actions to make this all work, though.
Yeah. Oh, they
I guess that worked out.
Storeroom. Okay, this was not terrible. This is why I said maybe you need that Apprentice, because these estates are real annoying here.
That's fair.
You just don't need. Also, you don't need 3 storerooms for Koehni. I think they're overdoing the storerooms.
Do they have 3 storerooms?
I think they have all 3.
Yeah, I think you're right. I guess Apprentice does make sense because you're trying to get rid of those estates. But not having the specialist for Koehni, I think, hurts as well. Because, think about it. You can also specialist Storeroom and play the second one as Way of the Owl.
Correct.
Which is really good.
I really want a second specialist for Chatteteo, because then I could specialist a Herald as the first thing, and if it hits, then you're happy, and you can gain a copy, and if it doesn't hit, you can play it again to guarantee that it does hit. That said, we're...
Specialist, yeah, he's still in really good shape. I mean, being able to play the Counterfeit twice.
So this is specialist Storeroom, I would think.
I'd consider maybe... I mean, you might even consider just... You're already thin. I don't know, Storeroom, like getting a silver just to be able to counterfeit silvers. Like, I think you could consider that.
I mean, you're spending 3 now to get 2 more next turn.
I mean, really, you're getting 4 more because you're counterfeiting it. But I guess you'd counterfeit a copper. But
I mean, you could buy a copper now and get 1 more for copper next turn too.
Yeah, you're probably right then. You're probably right that the Storeroom is better.
Unless you want to try to do raid stuff, which makes no sense.
I don't like the Mining Village, though.
Yeah, the Mining Village seems really passive. Like, their deck is overdrawing. They've got tons of actions.
Yeah, just take another specialist Herald, and
yeah,
you're good.
Yeah,
that is a good point. Kuba said he's surprised they're playing so quickly. Yeah, both players do seem to have a pretty quick pace.
So here we discard everything except for 1 Storeroom, and here we discard everything except for the... Oh, this is an awkward shuffle size. I think we wanted to draw to the end of this shuffle. So keep 2 cards, and then have Storeroom get us clean to the end of the shuffle, because we triggered... Those 3 cards are all bad, I believe. Or mostly bad.
I think he has a second.
So if we just discarded...
Dan? I don't remember.
If we just discarded 2 estates and 1 copper, we keep the Counterfeit, and we get a clean shuffle. There's a Storeroom down there as well, but I think that's a spot you need to not discard max, because we triggered what is a pretty bad shuffle here.
Also, both players seem to be going very heavy into Mining Village, which seems kind of unnecessary. I think just, getting thin and heralding his draw.
I don't know why.
Also, gaining an estate, buying an estate, that is very questionable. We're not all that close to the end of the game.
I have no idea why they would buy an estate. So specialist is
near it. Yeah, but there's literally no piles even below 6 yet.
Specialist is a village. I feel like that's important to note. So here we can specialist Storeroom, discard everything, draw everything, basically.
Yeah.
They're actually underdrawing by 1, but they've got a cantrip in there, or Mining Village will draw it back or be bottom decked. So this to me is just clear discards for 7 coins, and then play Way of the Owl, and then you're good to go. Like, they've got the combo going. They'll be completely thin of coppers, and they can add more specialists. But yeah, specialist is a village. I see buying one mining village early makes a lot of sense to me. In order to enable the way of the owl stuff.
And
But
Herald, I mean, yeah, especially if you're a specialist with Herald, like,
once you've got specialist, you're pretty happy to play specialist with Herald every time. Okay, this line worked as well. What they did.
yeah, I actually kind of like that line.
It may
That was actually a pretty
yeah,
creative line.
may work better. Unclear. I assume we discard 4 here. Well, you Storeroom is annoying when you have an empty discard pile. They discard. Oh, oops, nope, that was the wrong one. They have to discard 4 again. So this is what I said when I said at the beginning we have the owl storeroom.
Yeah.
This is what I was talking about, and
And I think Coney, I think, kind of went for it, but I think the problem is he didn't get thin enough, so it wasn't reliable. Whereas Chatteteo was just like, okay, I'm gonna thin and then go for it. So he was able to get it much more reliably. There we go. Now he's going the distant lands, so that's a good play. So yeah, I think Chateo's played this game very well.
yeah, there's some argument that Mining Village is better than Herald to control the timing of your storerooms and your specialists. I don't know that I feel very strongly about that, but they gained a copper. I do not think that is necessary.
I mean, I guess his thought is because he did get a second specialist. I guess the idea is that you're going to use one of the specialists and be able to counterfeit twice.
It's just like you're adding one payload.
But
you're adding one payload, I guess, at the cost of a card draw and a chance of
I think
proportionate chance of dud, I guess I would say.
Yeah, I mean, Chatteteo could dud, but most of the rest of his deck is good. I think he's already saw both. I think those are only 2 coppers.
Yeah, I mean, you can draw
So
specialist,
like
specialist,
pretty good.
2 specialists, distant land, counterfeit. Actually, you can't
dud. He has a dent coming in too, so yeah, he's definitely.
You can't dud with specialists. Yeah, if all the cards, if you start with specialist, distant lands, storeroom, copper, counterfeit, you can dud. So like the extra copper is a notable increase in the chance, but still the absolute chance is going to be very, very small.
Very small, yes. I mean, this game is definitely over. Like that, Comey just has a really bad hand coming in.
So
like,
Chatteteo needs to specialist here.
Yeah,
which is cool.
That's a specialist is so nice. I won a game yesterday.
Specialist,
it's just so powerful.
Distant land storeroom, I suppose.
It seems definitely reasonable to me. You get actions, yeah, because it only takes 1 action to do all of that. Or he's just storerooming now. I feel like you didn't need the storeroom there. Yeah, now he's kind of dudding.
We can apprentice this scavenger.
That's true.
Yeah, so here for sure I want a specialist on the distant lands. Oh, we had.
Or now you can just double. Yeah, now you can just double specialist distant land storeroom.
Yeah, and we even draw the distant. We can even
draw the second distant lands. Yeah. Oh, he didn't. He didn't specialist the specialist. That. I mean, I guess if you're just playing them both twice anyways, I guess it doesn't really matter. Like, I guess it fundamentally doesn't make a difference, specialist versus... Because you're just going to play the specialist twice anyways, so I guess it actually doesn't make a difference, right?
Maybe. You could actually play both distant lands this turn if you did specialist, distant land storeroom.
Yeah, but I think if you just I think if you just specialist the distant land first, you'd be able to play both of them. So I think it's more the order that he played the cards more than not
Yeah.
So yeah, if he specialists the distant lands first, then he should be able to draw it and play it.
Yeah. We still have the other distant lands. Okay. You just need to keep a distant lands. I had a coaching game recently where we had disciple distant lands. Which, feels somewhat sad, but like it's also like we're making it's worth 4 VP plus 4 more next turn, and like you go ahead, put your teacher token somewhere. I'm just gonna get all the distant lands and all this score.
Yep.
All right, so specialist apprentice is pretty sad. We could just apprentice a state and hope to draw something better. Or we could apprentice the distant lands. Okay, we did find something much
That
better.
worked out pretty nice. I mean, I don't think it matters. I think this
Yeah.
is still well over.
So here you just discard 4. I see no
Although I
reason to
don't
keep the distant lands.
really like Chateau's buys this. I mean, I don't think he really didn't need a second Den of Sin. I think that was kind of unnecessary.
Yeah, the Den of all the Den of Sins feel unnecessary at this point, but having 2 seems more than enough. I just want more specialists. Every time I draw specialist, I get happy. I'm like, oh wow, this is a great draw.
Yeah. Like, Herald Mining Village Den of Sin doesn't seem like in silver. Seems like, I mean, you could go, I don't know what you could go, but you could go specialist. Probably just get another distant lands. I mean, I probably would have gone like specialist, distant lands.
Storeroom.
Herald.
I think they had 13.
No, they had 8. No, they had 16 because they also bought a silver.
Ah.
So yeah, I mean, you could have just gone like specialist, distant land.
Specialist.
I can't exactly how many. Yeah, double specialist, distant land.
I'm kind of okay
specialist, distant land,
Herald. A third of my deck is specialists. A third of my action cards are specialists. Any more than that, you get a little. Although with Way of the Owl, you could do like specialist. Like if you draw 4 throne rooms, you're sad. But with Way of the Owl, you do specialist, 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 owl. Like. And then it's like, so oh no, this is a dud. Just
Koehni,
kidding.
What does Koehni buy that has any chance of coming back here? I mean, Mining Village does not seem like the right buy.
They need distant lands quickly because if Chatteteo gets like 6 distant lands, the game just ends. The other thing is Specialist gives you, like, instead of buying a Herald, buy Specialist and then play Specialist on Herald and gain 1 in mid-turn.
It's true.
We're
especially because you have overdraw, right? Like with Way of the Owl, you're pretty much overdrawing, so you're gonna be able to play it anyways. All right, so now you probably specialist this Storeroom, I assume.
If you're not going to specialist the Counterfeit.
Oh, that was unfortunate though. The Herald drew the distant lands.
Played it,
so he doesn't get to specialist the distant lands.
Yeah, I mean
he shouldn't have. Because you don't have a choice, right?
You could have owled it.
That's kind of unfortunate.
You could have played it as owl, but what's the point? You don't get to disciple. You don't get to disciple it anyways.
It's kind of unfortunate. Herald hit there.
This is why I said maybe Mining Village becomes better than Herald in this kingdom.
That is a good point.
Yeah, so we specialist the Counterfeit first to get full value out of storerooms, and then we
Makes sense.
Storeroom. I think we just discard.
Just storeroom everything.
Well, it doesn't actually matter. Discard everything, but we actually maybe shouldn't have played the Counterfeit first. We're out of draw. We're out of coins for Storeroom. So like this Storeroom can only get us.
Yeah, that's true. You could have, I guess, Storeroom multiple times with it. Yeah.
And now we have to play a village, and like we're just. We can discard 3. We can discard two now for coins. Yeah.
Yeah, discard 2.
I agree with Kubu. Apprentice the Counterfeit. Counterfeit's done a great job for us. Now,
but it's not needed.
It's not needed anymore. So we get to 19.
I mean, you definitely want to get a distant lands.
Here.
That's priority number 1.
Yeah, so double specialist distant lands, I think, for me.
Why? Like, you have 2 mining villages you literally aren't playing in your hand. What makes you think you want another one? Like,
it's a good question.
You literally have 2 mining villages in your hand that you didn't play because they. I mean, I guess the only thing I could think is like if you just want to pop all your mining villages like next turn and go for a pile out like next turn.
Yeah. So yeah, I just want specialist and distant lands here.
I don't want Den of Sin. I don't want Province. Yeah, I mean, I think he's still ahead. But...
Any of those 3 cards. They're still really far ahead, but they're. Yeah, I mean, Koehni needs to get the distant lands now, and then potentially start doing the specialist tricks. And Chatteteo is going to score 8 points a turn. I suspect Chatteteo can get up to double province turns here.
I mean, he could have had double province that turn.
Yeah, and again, maybe I'm okay with one pair of distant lands, but anything more than that is seems to be quite bad.
I mean, to
My
be
view.
fair, Kubu, the specialist does cost 5 instead of 4 for Throne Room, but yeah, probably.
Yeah, this should just be Storeroom for max coins. I really don't like playing distant lands. I really think you need a specialist at every turn and try to catch up with the, hey, I get 4 extra VP a turn, and then I'm going to try to catch up and lose the province split, but have 8 extra VP from distant lands.
Yep.
Here I think we have to specialist the Herald for actions.
It's 2 actions. I mean, you could.
Those
you
8
could
cards
just
are
play
pretty bad.
Yeah, I don't know how many actions are left there. You could just play the Herald and hope you draw something that is better for specialist, but I don't think he really has much
There's an
left.
Apprentice down there.
He did play it.
Okay, we found a mining village, so that's good.
It worked out pretty well, actually. Yeah, because now you specialist the storm, you get to discard everything, then you weigh the owl.
And we do have an Apprentice down there. Okay.
Does he have 2 apprentices? Yeah. No, I think he each only have 1. And he played, yeah, he owled the Apprentice.
I was looking for the orange color. Again, we may not find our counterfeit here. We found the story.
No, he didn't find it.
So we could discard a stake copper and get to a clean shuffle.
Yeah, and you guarantee that. You guarantee you get the counterfeit too.
Oof. I did not like. We just top decked. I believe we top decked 2 coppers.
No, because he drew his. He discarded 3 coppers and drew 3 coppers. He top decked a silver, but same thing.
Silver copper then.
At least one is silver. Yeah.
Like we could have gotten to a clean shuffle there by discarding a stake copper.
I mean, shuffle management is definitely something that I think at this level, a lot of players. I know I'm often not very good at shuffle management, and I'm around maybe even a little weaker than these players. I guess
think
so.
The big thing
shuffle
is
management's definitely a hard skill to learn.
Yeah, you're looking at 2 cards. You look at your discard pile, and you say, "There's 2 cards left in my discard pile. One of them is my counterfeit. I really want to play the counterfeit. I don't want to trigger a bad shuffle, so let me discard 2." I mean, it's almost just a matter of being aware of it. Like the actual skill is not that hard. The challenge is knowing when to take your brain power and apply it to the problem of.
And tracking the deck well enough to know what's in there and making sure you know.
Yeah.
In this case, it's not too hard because the decks are relatively.
And counterfeit is a key piece here. So we have to look for a pile out here, I think. I wish we had a distant lands, then I think the pile out's pretty easy.
Yeah, that's true, Kubu. I've been in the medium games playoffs a few times, so I'm definitely at the same level. And yeah, it's definitely probably one of the most important things I think players in the medium game level can learn is shuffle management.
Yeah, basically.
I feel like most of the time the players around the medium games level is when you start to have a pretty good grasp of like what strategies to go for. Like, I don't think it's all that often I just go for a terrible strategy and I'm just going to get totally beat. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like there are a lot of times when I just feel like I get really unlucky with draws, and then if I look back, it's like, nope, my draws were bad because I had bad shuffle management.
Yeah, I think the thing is, I'm playing this card. Will it trigger a shuffle? And if it is the question you have to ask yourself. And is it going to be a good shuffle? And it should be easier as a player, I think, than a commentary because I'm trying to track both decks. But I can also see both players' hands, and I'm talking about it out loud. I found that actually self-commentating my own matches helped me.
I did that in the other day. I've started doing it again. I did that in my Allies match, and it definitely helped. But I feel like I was way more cognizant of that when I was self-commentating.
It hurts my tracking of the opponent's deck because I'm too busy talking about the things that I know in my own deck, and I'm not tracking my opponent's turns as clearly as I should be.
That's probably true. I don't think I'm at the level where tracking opponent's deck is super useful yet. I'm sure it is useful, but I think if I need to get my own tracking down, and then I'll worry about tracking the opponent.
Yeah, I mean, gain counting is the big one. You have to track exactly how many gains your opponent has, and here, it's not unbounded certainly, but it's if you play specialist and gain a specialist, or play a
It's
specialist
very
twice,
tricky. Yeah.
you can gain 6, 7, 8, 9 cards in a turn, um, very conceivably.
So
And
I'm assuming Chateau's just gonna double province here. I mean, he probably should have looked for a pile out, but at this point,
we can also double province Duchy. We can double province Den of Sin, double province Distant Lands. I
but he
think I
only
would.
has 16. He doesn't have enough to
We
do
have
that.
2 mining villages we can trash.
That's true.
Although, have they been trashing them this turn? Yes. I guess I just want to double province here and save my 2 mining villages.
Yeah, I think you want to save him. Just there's no reason. I mean, I guess you could province distant lands could also be reasonable.
Province Distant Lands Herald, but yeah, this.
He really, I don't like this copper draws at all. Like, just yeah, I agree with what you said. I think you should have just apprenticed the counterfeit. I guess it was Kubu who said
Or these
that.
heralds. These heralds were real bad. They revealed the Den of Sin and the counterfeit. This is why we said like we don't really want maybe you don't want herald hits at some point, but I certainly want herald hits. I want my heralds to hit actions.
You don't want
mining
Herald hit on
villages.
the distant land, but yeah, otherwise
I mean,
you do want it.
Yeah, it's not the end of the world if it does. Like, I want to be. I can always buy it back in that worst case, but I'd certainly rather it hit distant lands than Den of Sin and counterfeit.
True.
Um,
Yeah, now this is super. This is. I guess you
yeah,
have
you
to
just go down here and play.
Oh, I didn't realize you're still in the storeroom draw.
Yeah,
Yeah, I didn't realize that.
you play specialist on Herald as Owl, and you're fine. This way of the Owl specialist storeroom thing is pretty sweet.
It really is.
It works with just storeroom way of the Owl, but you have to have like the multiple mining village plays and stuff for it to work.
It just
but
has a lot of actions.
the
Yeah,
specialist just kind of makes it
so
work
good.
amazingly.
I feel like specialist. Where was it ranked on the allies like hot take rankings? feel
I
like
didn't
it's
even
gotta be
bother to
pretty
look
high.
at those.
Probably fair. Probably.
So
worth
we
it.
can
Not
specialist
to.
this counterfeit if we want. We can also, also do the thing they're doing now. Discard
Now
7.
I'm curious.
So here's
not that I really should pay attention to it.
Here's
but
the issue with this turn. Again, they've got this. They're short on actions. I think you discard Storeroom Estate here and just get to a clean shuffle and then play both the distant lands. Because again, those bottom 3 cards are bad. I believe those bottom 3 cards are 2 coppers and a state.
yeah.
And so they maybe I guess they get 6 more money out of it. 5 or 6 more money on it out of it this way.
I don't like discarding everything that. Ooh.
And they didn't get to a clean shuffle.
You did get to triple province if they want it, but that's not even gonna really help.
Yeah, because doubling
what
is
is triple?
pretty easy for Chatteteo.
Yeah, I definitely
think.
don't think you can triple.
Um,
So I think you have to just double, and I would
distant lands or specialist.
specialist now. Yeah, I was thinking specialist. I'm like, that's even odd now.
Because specialist can make another distant lands, and like so, specialist in theory
Yeah.
is worth a distant lands worth of VP at the cost of some draw action stuff. And if you specialist a distant lands the second time, you can play it as an owl, right? You could put it on the mat and then play it as an owl.
I don't know.
I assume you can. That seems possible.
Oh, Kubu, apparently it's too low because it was only ranked 5th, apparently.
What's number 1?
It was behind Swap, Clashes, Sentinel, and Royal Galley. In that
Royal
order.
Galley is super strong.
I forget what Royal Galley does. I feel like I don't
Plus
know what
one
cards
card.
do as the name very often.
+1 card, play a card from your hand and set it aside and play it again at the beginning of the next turn.
Oh, yeah, that's
It turns any action into a
you're right.
duration.
Yeah.
So like you could
Which is also
imagine
incredibly useful with terminal space stuff.
put
If you're
Storeroom
not
on a Royal
colliding
Galley,
terminals.
right? Put Storeroom on a Royal Galley
Yeah.
and start every turn with filtering your deck. Basically a free guide effect
Yep.
plus some coins and with here in this kingdom or you specialist and you start the turn by throning something like or Overlord like
Oh, gosh,
livery
yeah.
like
Alright, yeah, Royal Galley's very good then.
it doesn't work on durations obviously, but like
I don't know. I don't know enough about the group piles. Those are complicated enough. I don't know how strong they are, but
yeah. So Koehni's done a good job of getting back into this, I think. Chatteteo can't. I mean, if Chatteteo doubles, then Cody needs to double
I
plus
mean,
distant lands plus duchy, which is tough. But can Chatteteo do more than double here?
Chattel could probably just pile, right? Maybe.
I don't think they have enough gains.
I guess yeah. I guess they only have one specialist left, right?
Yeah,
So if they have one specialist left, which is one gain on a distant lands, they need 20 and 4 buys. Do
yeah.
they have how many storms do they have? Just the one more?
They don't have a distant lands
I
in their
guess they're with
deck.
the counterfeit. They have 4 buys. They could probably do it.
They don't have a
Oh, they don't
distant
have a distant
lands.
lands in their deck. Then no, they
Discard
can't do
everything
it
but
then.
specialist storeroom here, and then play specialist
Because
storeroom
I don't
all.
think how many buy they don't have 5 buys, right? They only have 4 total. The one storm, the one counterfeit here.
They've got specialist, so number of
That's true.
buys
So
is
you might be able to
fungible.
get like
This was this was not
ooh,
good. I don't know what they were doing
what did
here.
they? Yeah, I'm not sure what they did.
They should have discarded Apprentice. If you do specialist storeroom, you at least draw an extra card. Apprentice and counterfeit. So the advantage if you
I didn't
specialist
see.
storeroom now is you play the first one as Way of the Owl, and then I could discard these 5 cards here, and
What did they specialist?
they
They did specialist
specialist
storm,
nothing.
and they
They
just
discarded the
decided to gain it.
specialist. Yeah, they gained a
Oh,
storeroom.
they discarded it.
So if they specialist storeroom, discard 6. Sorry, yeah, discard for 6 coins, and then owl. Um, if the first specialist they discarded, and then the second specialist storeroom, they did a thing, they would not have had this dud here. I think this was entirely preventable. I'm
So
trying
what
to
do
track
you
the log and
buy
see.
here then? I mean, distant lands. I mean, they might work out.
Now
I
you
guess
just have to
does
take a
Coney
duchy.
have?
I don't think you
Coney could easily dud here. I mean, he's not. You
Sure.
don't think you take a distant lands here and a duchy?
Um,
I mean, I don't think Coney's gonna pile out. I don't think Coney has the buys. I think you take a distant lands here over
I mean, if they
another
specialist
duchy.
the distant lands, they've got 3 storerooms and a counterfeit. They have plenty of buys.
I guess that's true. I guess they do have 3 storerooms, so maybe
This is a
double
nice hit
duchy
to
is
start
just
with.
better.
We can discard 7. Yeah, so if Chatteteo had, instead of discarding down to the Apprentice, discarded down to Specialist Storeroom, they can play Specialist Storeroom Owl and draw 6, and then they realize they drew 6 bad cards, and then they just play the Storeroom regularly the second time to continue the shuffle. Did they end up going with Double Duchy?
Yeah, they did. So they're still up 11. I mean, I don't know. With only one, they could very well dud. I mean, with only one dud of sin coming in, it's a dud here again for Chateo is definitely plausible. Like if they don't draw an action card.
Also, that they dudded drawing 2 coppers. I feel like that's worth noting. Why do you have 2 coppers in the deck? They bought those 2 coppers.
Good point.
So
what's the and how many mining villages do they have left? I don't think how many have they trashed? I don't
There's
know.
9 in the trash.
So they really don't have any actions, so they might be in real trouble with actions.
Yeah.
Yeah, these decks did just fall. Both decks kind of fell apart.
Yeah, you just got to get. Well, both of them need more specialists. Specialists continue to generate food for you along the way.
Yeah.
I think Chatteteo popped the mining villages too early for that double province turn. I think they can just hold on to them and look for like a 4 province turn with trashing 6 mining villages the last turn of the game, or a pile out.
9. So what does Coney have here? So that's 9.
I think 11, they have to 13, take a province 14. Here.
I mean, they could double province, but you don't want to double. So yeah,
and they didn't get the distant lands into play. They don't have the Den of Sin in play either.
Oh my gosh, these decks just totally fell apart. Like I don't even know what you. I mean, is it too late to get another specialist?
Not with distant lands in play. Like specialist can gain you VP in your turn with distant lands in play.
Yeah. So I think you go like province specialist here.
Yeah, you have 16, so you can do province specialist something. I would consider an improve at this point. It's coins and it's pile pressure, and you can turn a Herald into a duchy or something if you're piling. Why did we not discard? Oh, we didn't have any discard plays left. I mean,
that's
with
true.
Storeroom,
Draw to X decks do make the green. Kubu has a good point
but
there.
Storeroom,
The draw to X decks with
Storeroom
green
blocks
great.
that. Storeroom should discard the green cards for value. Like, one of the problems Chatteteo had was their deck was too thin, and they couldn't get value out of their Storeroom. So in theory, adding some green cards helps that. But you just got to manage the shuffles a little bit cleaner. So I can believe in a couple of different things here. The question is, do you play for a dud? If you're playing for a dud, then I would say you buy double Den of Sin Duchy. Maybe double Den of Sin Distant Lands. And
triple Duchy? That seems bold. Like, what are you going to hope with triple Duchy? Your opponent gets one and then you double Province? Like, Province Specialist is far better than triple Duchy.
I think I like double Den of Sin Distant Lands there for Koehni.
That's a little... Is that not a little risky?
I mean,
I guess
you're in a really tough position, right?
I feel like one province is good.
Yeah, I mean...
I feel like Chatteo's deck... Well, I don't know. It's hard to know. I guess that's where you don't really know how good your opponent's deck is. So if you think, oh, your opponent... You've seen your opponent double, so you might just assume your opponent has a reasonable chance of doubling again, when in reality we know that they don't.
So if you think your opponent's got a reasonable chance of doubling, which I think that's a reasonable thing for Koehni to assume, then they're just gonna win. I assume Chatteteo wins if they double here. So let's assume they can't double. Yeah. Let's assume they can't double. Let's assume they can only single.
Then you should be taking one province there, I think. As Koehni. I think.
I'm just worried is Koehni having a bad turn the next turn. That's why I want the double Den of Sin to basically say, I'm going to have one huge turn next turn, and I don't think you can get double to put yourself out of reach. That would be my line. Maybe so double Den of Sin Duchy,
maybe.
Or double Den of Sin Specialist. And say, I'm going to kick off and have a huge... I don't know.
Or, you could do Province Den. I don't know.
So discard
sort of balances
everything but Specialist Storeroom. I'm pretty sure. We should not be discarding the Storms, though. The Storms are our best payload card.
Yeah, it'd be really nice to be able to Specialist that Storeroom right now.
Because now we're Specialist Mining Village, which doesn't seem to do that much for us.
Do you even... what's left of his deck? This is where I would have to go back and track the last three cards, because I wonder if you're better off just playing Mining Village here. But it really depends on what those three cards are. Kuba wanted triple Specialist. What?
We've got a Herald play still chained.
Oh, does he?
The triples... I just don't think Koehni's deck has enough oomph to do what you want it to do with triple.
Okay, yeah, the Herald play. That's smart then. I totally was like, why is he discarding everything?
The indentation.
I was really confused for a second.
The indentation in the log gave it away once I noticed it.
Good point.
So I assume you... what are they doing? I assume you play Mining Village and then Storeroom discard and then...
I like the Apprentice. The Apprentice Den of Sin seems very reasonable.
Yeah, I just think we could have done that later. All right, so again, I want this to be Specialist Storeroom, discard.
Yeah. And then you can decide later if you want to trash the Mining Villages.
You could also discard 3 and just get to the end of this shuffle. I think there's one more Storeroom in those bottom 3, though.
Yeah, I believe they each have 3 storerooms. So yeah.
So discard 7, draw 7, discard whatever the number is that you
discard all of them. We'll keep storeroom now.
I'm trying to work out the math if you discard some other number than all of them, but I assume you just discard all of them. There's a way we can guarantee a decent shuffle here. Yeah, I think
There's no way. There's no way he can triple, right? No, he doesn't have the money.
you can discard 3 here, and that gets you to a clean shuffle. Oh, we're in the
So like,
specialist play now.
what are you trying to buy here? Are you trying to buy like? I don't even know what you're trying to buy on this deck.
Yeah. This was a very nice draw. I think they could have played that. They could have kept the storeroom to get to a clean shuffle with all their Dens of Sin. They lose 1 coin here, but I think they get the coins back at the end of the
Double
turn.
province. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I mean, you're up 14 now. Yeah, I guess that's true.
Your
like,
opponent
I
has
guess
got a province
duchy.
plus distant lands plus duchy.
All right, so I guess my
something.
province buy from Koehni wouldn't have worked out then. I guess I just didn't trust Chatteteo could double province seeing the deck he has.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
I guess I was wrong.
Work out. I don't think Koehni can win anyways. So at this point,
yeah, I mean he's down 14. So what would that mean? He would need
province. Distant lands, duchy, estate for a tie.
Yeah, it's not.
And Chatteteo got a little lucky to find both Dens of Sin.
Oh, he just totally done it to me. All right, yeah, this should be over. Yeah, I mean one storeroom, it's just over. Like he can just store for 8.
Apprentice, province, and then storeroom. That's the cleanest victory. Ooh, specialist apprentice, both provinces, and then storeroom. You got to apprentice province though. It's the stylish way.
It's all about the style points.
Yeah.
So that definitely turned into a much more interesting game than I think I was expecting.
Yep.
But I mean, sort of into a different debate. I know there's some debate in League recently about how long games should take, but like I feel like both players have played at a pretty reasonable pace, and yet it's been almost an hour for 2 games. So
the first game I felt could have been resigned earlier. This game, obviously, you couldn't resign because Chatteteo left the door open.
Yeah. I mean, you could have resigned a little earlier, but I also have these are more than a couple minutes.
These are players who are building big engines, and they're not necessarily. I mean, we've pointed out a few gaps in the engine build here.
Yeah.
Where I think if you get the specialist stack going, you just pile out specialist distant lands, Herald very quickly.
I agree, so, Tyler. I'm just saying. I think people were saying in the league, a lot of people were saying you shouldn't expect matches to be over 2 hours for 6 games. Yeah. To me, it doesn't feel like either player has played at all slow.
Yeah,
or
this
like
is also
really
a playoff game, so a little bit more important than an average league game. But it's tied at 1-1, moving to game 3.